Hey everybody, today I want to talk to you about finding XY, how I find XY pretty much almost every single time. This method will work for pretty much all of your carves. It's not going to work for every scenario, obviously, but the ones that it does work for, it's going to be a big time saver and also prevent a lot of headaches. Stick around, I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so say I just turned my machine on and I want to set up for a carve. I go into Easel, click on machine, and hit home machine. The Z-axis will travel all the way up till it hits that limit switch. The X-axis all the way to the left till it hits that limit switch. And then lastly forward all the way on the Y-axis till it hits that limit switch. What that does is it now resets the machine at the front left corner, and it knows where the front left corner of your machine is now. So going into Easel, if you click on 1 on the Z and XY axis, I know with 3/4 material I can lower it 4 times approximately, and then on the X axis over once to the right or positive, and then Y back or positive 2 times. XY perfectly every single time. Okay, here is scenario 2. Say you're in the middle of a carve, you have a bit in there and you want to change out for another bit, and the gantry moves, and now you think, crap, my entire carve's done. It's not. Simply go back to machine, home your machine. It's going to raise just like it did before, all the way up. It's going to go all the way left on your X-axis till it hits that limit switch again, and all the way forward on the Y-axis. So I'll simply just hit 1 on X and Y and 1 on Z like I did here, lowering it down. Move it over to the right 1 time and then back 2 times. Same spot the machine was before. Okay, so in order for this to work, you need to start by creating one of these 90-degree jigs like you see here. You can either create your own file, or there's multiple different examples within Easel's project section on their website. This one was already created on the website from someone else, and I simply just made it out of Luan plywood. Any thin ply will work, MDF, and this one is sprayed with shellac. Alright, so before you start carving one, just make sure whatever file you find or create, the holes are going to be spaced correctly. The newer X-Carves, from my understanding, I have a newer X-Carve, the spacing is 80 millimeters apart on center, so from the middle of the hole to the middle of the hole. The older machines are 75 millimeters apart, and the file I found did have 75 millimeter spacing, so I changed it to 80. So whatever jig you decide to go with, just make sure it's going to be compatible with your dust boot. You don't want to go too far over to the left here, or you're going to be crashing your dust boot in. You're also going to be engaging that limit switch on accident if you're carving too far over to the left. Alright, so now that your 90-degree jig's in place, put a sharp bit in the collet, go through the jogging controls, and get your machine perfectly at XY or 0. And then once your machine is zeroed, all you have to do is go back here to your bump stops. I've already loosened this one back here. Make sure you slide it all the way over. I didn't slide this one far enough out of the way. And then this one here I've already loosened. Slide that all the way out of the way to the forward there, so you're not going to hit it when you go into jog controls here next. So just like I showed you earlier, we're going to go into Easel. I'll hit 1 for the XY and 1 for the Z. I'm just going to raise the machine a couple steps here, and then X, I'll bring it forward 1 time, or excuse me, Y, and then X over 2 times. So now that you've done that, you need to go back to your bump stops, your limit switches here. So these switches, the way they work is the bump stop depresses them, and then you hear the machine, when it homes, it does some slight adjustments till it backs off to the neutral position, just like so. So essentially all you have to do is take this bump stop and put it to where it's just barely touching. So you don't want to depress it like that. You just want to bump it off just touching, and then tighten it down. And then the one in the back here, like I was saying, I didn't move it over far enough, so make sure yours is just slid out of the way before you run through this process. Just touching, tighten that down, and that's all you got to do. So I'll leave you with some closing thoughts here. This isn't going to work with every carve, obviously. Sometimes this jig might be in your way. You're carving something, you need your whole spoil board, etc. But 90% of the time, this is going to help. Most importantly though, make sure when you start your machine up, you run through home the machine, and it is truly still at XY. This system can possibly not work, say if you were in the middle of the carve and you hit jog control the wrong way, and now your gantry locks and binds up or crashes into the right side, back side, etc. It could throw the machine out of whack, so keep that in mind as well. And anytime you do run through that, where you say you crash your gantry into something, you need to run back through this process and make sure that you're still sitting at XY when you home the machine. Alright everyone, this is all I have. Let me some feedback. Tell me how you find XY and the best system that works for you. I have yet to find too many videos on this subject yet, so I just want to show you what works best for me 90% of the time, and also want to hear what works best for everyone else. See ya!